Gentleman yields back. Could the gentleman yield?
Of
Following
course,
up on
to the chairman, yes.
Following up on Mr. Gowdy's question, of the $230+ million over 5 years that was paid, do you have a sense or precision on what percentage or which dollars went to these so-called sub-informants? And the second part of that is, what did the American taxpayers get? Are there any metrics on convictions, drug seizures? Like, what did we get for $237 million?
Taking that last question first, that was, in fact, one of the challenges that we faced in looking at these payments. It wasn't clear to us, and you couldn't connect, and in fact, the database oftentimes wasn't accurate, to figure out where those payments went and what they resulted in. It's an issue we're looking at actually right now on the asset seizure review that we're doing. Is a similar question has been raised, similar issues have been raised about interdictions. Yes, we know about the successful seizures, but where did that lead? Did that lead to furthering a criminal investigation? Did it lead to an arrest? How many unsuccessful interdictions were there? In other words, how much was the public's privacy being impacted? Or civilians who are being asked questions at train stations, bus stations, airports that don't ultimately have drugs or cash. How many of those events occurred? And I think all of those are weaknesses in the data collection effort that's going on.
Mr. Patterson, how do you answer those questions?
Again, I agree with Mr. Horowitz's concerns. We are working on properly staffing and reviewing a number of these issues at the headquarters level, making sure that the data that is getting into our system is proper. Related to the other member's question related to the subsources, we're working with our other federal partners to find out how they're dealing with those specific issues and subsource related cases. So again,
So do you or do you not have a database? If you get $50,000 to pay off some informants, you can't tell me there's a database I could go to line whatever 237 and say, well, this is what happened?
Sir, we do have a headquarters database, a centralized database in which we track this. As Mr. Horowitz.
So what are the metrics? Where is this?
But I think it's the absence of the negative, right? In terms of we would have to go to specific case files in the field if it's available to see, you know, we made 3 other attempts at looking at information and saw nothing. That is essentially guidance that we're putting out to the field that we have to collect this information as well.
So you have, I'm still confused. Do you have data or not have data on how many convictions, seizures, those types of things? You can't produce a sum total of that?
Related to the specific payments,
Yeah.
there needs to be proper justification for why those payments were made. That doesn't necessarily capture the totality of the circumstances, and I think that's the issue that they've presented. And that's something that we're
So
working on.
when you say you're working on, come on, you're the senior management. You are the senior management. So how long have you been working on it, and when are you going to have it?
Well, we started to have these discussions, I think, probably over the summer. We started to immediately work on the limited use issues because, quite frankly, to me, they're more important than capturing this data. And I'm not trying to say that anything is, you know, one thing outweighs the other, but I think there's some significant issues in the limited use, especially when it comes to Fourth Amendment issues that raise to get those issues addressed in front of this. But again, we are working, and I know the administrator is committed to doing this, is to getting this right in terms of making sure that we have the data, because we also need to evaluate, and as I said earlier, to be good stewards of how we pay this money. So we need to be able to balance those out internally as well. As I said, we have the Office of Inspections now going out, and to me, it's really about accountability and oversight, both in field managers and from headquarters.
Well, look, law enforcement's usually pretty good about bragging when they get a big seizure or an arrest or conviction. We don't have any metrics to compare $250 million to what?
Right. Well, I mean, I think the issue that I was trying to refer to wasn't, look, we are seizing more than we're spending, right? I mean, that's.
I don't know that. How do I know that?
Well, we have statistics on essentially.
Well, where are they? Can I get them?
Yeah, I mean, I have no concerns about providing those to the committee. I'll take them back and ask to get that provided to you.
Okay.
You know, from our standpoint, I think I think the information shows that the seizures exceed the $250 million in informant payments, although I think there's a challenge in matching the payments to the seizures, and so the
Right.
macro numbers don't completely answer the question. The other issue that's, of course, a significant concern is if you incentivize a Amtrak employee or a airplane employee or a cargo company employee, if you seize money, we will give you a reward. How many boxes are they opening? How many passenger manifests are they providing? How many people are getting pulled out of line to find the person or persons that a seizure results in an award? As I said earlier, is it they're very good at it and so they're batting close to 1,000, or is it they're just picking as many people as they think fit a generalized profile such that they're batting near zero, but they're finding a few, and so they're getting
Right.
good cash awards.
All right, we've gone way past. Let's recognize the gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Grothman, for 5 minutes.
Okay, for Mr. Horowitz.